Garrett, it's Victoria. I trust you made it back alive. You've done well, Garrett. Come with me and bring the sword. There is someone you have to meet. It's time for the payment you've been promised.
Yes.
A refreshment, Mr. Garrett. I'm in the possession of a superior brandy that has the most restorative effect.
I prefer my payment in cash, not liquor, Mr.
My apologies. I've been watching you, Mr. Garrett, so closely, in fact, that I'm afraid I'd forgotten we haven't actually met yet. I am Constantine.
All this time I thought you were gonna pay me. You've brought me here to kill me?
But you have it all wrong, Mr. Garrett. Would it surprise you to know that it was I who hired you to steal my own sword? Yes. You see, Victoria and I are...
Old associates.
Yes. You were being tested, do you understand? And I must say you more than live up to your reputation. You are quite an extraordinary thief.
Testing me? What is it you want from me, Constantine?
I am a collector, Mr. Garrett, but there are some items that are not available for purchase. They must be acquired using other means. In this case, the item in question would be best acquired by thieving. Not simple thieving, no. I need an artist like yourself.
What exactly is this item?
It is the gemstone called the Eye, for its unusual...
appearance.
Yes. Kept hidden in the sealed cathedral deep inside the halls of the scum Hammerites. Oh, but forgive me. You are, possibly, friendly with the Order of the Hammer.
No. Fanatics make unreliable friends.
Excellent. I am prepared to offer you quite a sum. 100,000 upon receipt of the Eye.
I don't see how I can refuse such an offer.
Marvelous. Victoria can fill you in on all the particulars. And Mr. Garrett, the sword, keep it. You have earned it, but also, I believe you'll find it useful in your quest.
Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 7 of my no quick saves, no knockouts, no go tell, thief gold, iron pacifist challenge run. I don't want to waste any time getting into this mission here. This is the Haunted Cathedral, which is a fairly polarizing mission, but I actually like it a lot. So let's just hop to it.
The eye that Constantine wants is in the abandoned Cathedral of the Hammerites. The cathedral is located in a section of the city that was deserted years ago, after some kind of catastrophe. I've heard stories of the incident. Most are wild rumors about hordes of zombies and raging fires. Now that part of the city is walled off, and no one's allowed to go in. Not that many people would dare to in the first place. Maps of the area are easy to find in attics and old trunks, but like all of them, the one I've got is over 50 years old. I'll make my way through the ruins to the Hammerite Cathedral and find a way inside. Once I get inside the cathedral, I'll have to locate the eye. Something tells me that this is not going to be easy, but for the amount I'm getting paid, I'm willing to take some serious risks.
So this may look like a lot of objectives, but it's actually fairly simple. We got to find the cathedral, get the eye. You know, those are your standard objectives, which are going to be on any difficulty. And then we have another thing we got to get called the serpentile torque. No idea where it is, but it's out there somewhere. And we got to drop some coins on the watchman's grave for luck. And then we should be good to go. We got to get out of there. And also, I think the loot requirement on this mission is pretty high. And it can be a little difficult to find loot in this mission because this one is pretty dark. This is probably the darkest mission so far in the game. So I'm going to be doing a bit of color correction probably, because when I increase the gamma on my end, it doesn't come through in the recording. I'm not sure why that is, but I'll do some stuff in post so that you can see what's going on without straining your eyes. So they start us off with a ton of equipment, so much so that there's not really much need to spend all that money that we got in the last mission. You know, I'm not going to use holy water, not going to use fire arrows, not going to use mines. Flash bombs damage zombies, so I don't want to get those. If you haven't guessed already, this is a zombie mission. And, you know, we've already got 5 noisemaker arrows, 5 rope arrows. There's no need for any more than that, at least I think. So I'll get these moss arrows because I don't have any of those. We'll top off our water arrows. We'll get this tip just because I have nothing else to spend money on. Heals are fine, I guess. And we'll just blow the rest on on fire arrows and a rope arrow, because why not? So what's unique about this mission? Well, let's start by reading the tip, shall we, before I get into the specifics. Those who fight undead fall into 2 groups, the resourceful and the slain. The well-prepared knight will arm himself well with holy water. However, a more convenient tactic, as well as one much less taxing on the purse, is to take advantage of the zombie's antipathy for all living creatures, and look for other convenient targets to divert a pursuer. Excerpt from the Journals of Morgan, declared anathema by the Smith in Exile. So I'll leave that there. I'm going to be trying not to let any zombies get killed if I can help it. Even if I'm not fighting them directly, I'd still prefer to not do that. This one here says, Department of Public Works, work order. The power grid control box for the neighborhood around Southern Rubin Street is located inside a residence. It should be in a public works station like all the other power grid control boxes. We may need to build a new maintenance cell in that neighborhood. If so, be sure to contact the Census Bureau so that they can update the map. It's important that all public works stations be marked on the map with the gear icon, but we haven't been vigilant enough about this. So if we check the map here, we'll see that this map is old, kind of worn down, and clearly incomplete. And also, you know, this sector of the city hasn't been inhabited by anyone other than, you know, zombies and whatever else in 50 years, at least according to what Garrett said. The game is merciful in letting us know here which section of the map we're on, but there are also street signs that can point this out. However, buildings will often be knocked down, and some of these paths will be rendered impassable, and we'll have to find other routes. So this map is only so helpful with the state that this part of the city is in. Anyway, what I was going to say at the beginning is that this mission is kind of unique. I said it was the darkest mission that we've seen so far. And there are these power control boxes that turn on the electricity, which for some reason is still being routed to this part of the city. And that makes things noticeably brighter, which is really helpful for finding hidden loot that may blend in the darkness. So if I rope up here, for instance, this would have been very hard to see in the dark, as would this health potion here. But unfortunately, I'm trying to remain hidden, So I will not be activating those boxes. And I know where enough of the loot is to complete the mission, so, you know, I really, there's not a good reason to turn it on other than so everyone at home can see, and I think I'm just going to solve that problem by upping the color correction. Actually, I'm curious. I've never been back here. I want to see if there's anything. Nah, I should have just gone with my gut. I know where enough of the loot is. I don't need to get too experimental with it. So a lot of people take issue with these zombie missions because they feel that it's not in line with the core fantasy, as I said. You know, it's not stealth in the way that we expect. But if you think about it, we are still trying to avoid the zombies. They make themselves known just like people. They have consistent audio cues. When you're spotted, they have a noise that they make. They just have idling noises, so you know they're there. You listen out for their footsteps. Although they don't pursue you with quite the same tenacity as the human guards. So what they do to balance that out is these zombies are usually in a much higher concentration, as we saw in the Bone Horde. So, this is a new enemy. We'll get to him later. So it's not as different as people make it out to be. You know, the objective is still the same. Remain hidden. Remain hidden and make your way to where you're going. So a little bit of treasure up here in the rafters. And next we will be going down here. So this enemy here is called a Cray Man. He will not be the first of them that we're seeing, and I think they're called that because they resemble crayfish in some ways. I'm not entirely sure, but that's my best guess. I'm not sure. I think they may have been added to the gold expansion of Thief 1. Although, again, I haven't confirmed that, but I just have a feeling. Oh, I guess you're going back this way. Well, I'll just do my business and get out then. There we are. I think he's supposed to double back, but that's actually good for us that he's still over there, because then we can go this way without having to avoid him any longer. Yeah, the gold expansion on the whole, I mentioned last episode that it adds 3 missions. 2 of them I find pretty lackluster. You know, there was the Thieves Guild, which I skipped, and the Mage Towers, which is the mission that follows this one. Both of those I'm not crazy about. It feels like they were rushed. They were trying to get Thief 2 out the door at the same time, so it seems like it just wasn't a priority in the same way. Maybe they just needed money to fund development of Thief 2. Is that everything I need? No, I need one more. Although there's one mission called Song of the Caverns, which is exceptional, and it was designed by Terry Brosius, who you may know as the voice of Shodan in the System Shock series. It's cool. She wasn't initially a level designer for Thief, but I guess when you just hung out in the Looking Glass Studios office, you kind of just learned to do everything. You know, when you were in that kind of environment, I think people were immensely helpful, and if you took an interest in something, they would teach you how to do that. So they let her play around with the level editor, and she turned out to be a natural at it and made one of the most beloved missions in this game. So that's kind of a cool story. And speaking of development, I'm sure the way that the water worked caused a lot of headaches at Looking Glass Studios. I'm sure they tried to make this look better than it does, but I think there's something kind of endearing. You know, I mean, the moving texture on the water looks great, but you know, whenever the water rounds the bend and you get all these, you can see all the edges of the water, it looks a bit silly. But you can appreciate what they were trying to do, you know. It's close enough to seamless. Now I gotta be careful here because there are burricks up ahead and they're tough to hear with the running water. I think we're safe though. This here is another power box, gearbox I guess, to turn on the electricity. So if we check the map, we know that we are now at one of these gears, right? There's a gear here and a gear here. So we can examine our surroundings to figure out which one we're at, and then plot out our route from here. Much more so than the last mission, which didn't show very much on the map. This one, you're entirely working off of landmarks. And if it's your first time exploring, it is easy to get lost, although the level design is kind of, although this doesn't really show it, it's kind of, each street section is kind of just a big loop. So you kind of round the loop, explore it to the fullest extent, and then move on to the next section. So it's pretty linear, and yeah, you're just traveling from loop to loop until you reach the haunted cathedral. But while we're here, I'm going to mark a few things on the map, because we can do that. Up in the top right corner, there's a big hammer, and you don't need to be a genius to figure out that that is the cathedral. Wow, I didn't place that very well, but that'll do, I guess. And this one's pretty small, but that looks like a gravestone to me. So we will call that the grave, because that is one of our objectives. And even if I didn't know that that's where the Watchman's grave was, we can safely assume that that's the case. Although the serpentile torque, which we need to find, we're not seeing very much that'll point us in that direction. So we'll just have to look around. Oh, there are the burricks right on cue. This is also a new enemy that we'll be seeing in just a moment. We can hear them now. I really love the sound design for these guys. Oh, I think he turned a different direction than I was expecting. So this is a barber pole. So if we check the map again, to the south of a gear, there's a barber pole. So this is kind of deceptive. We're not really in this section. We're more on the border of the Market Street section, the DePerrin Street section, and the Cathedral Street section. But now we know we are at this barber pole. And knowing that, having that landmark is really useful in this mission. And you won't always get those, but when you do, you kind of have to be attentive and to really see them. Getting very lucky with these enemy placements. Don't really have to circumvent anybody, at least not yet. We're gonna go up this way. Sadly, there's nothing up here. Seems like wasted potential. But if they hid something in every remote, you know, in every secret-looking area, it wouldn't be very believable, would it? It would be just a little bit too gamey. This is a tricky jump. Got it. That's not right. Well, it's not the end of the world. There's nothing vital in here, but I guess I'll just show you what the note says anyway. I made this jump in every practice run. I just want you to know. Constable Toole is a degenerate. Every time we have a blackout, I have to go haul his ass out of the pub to get him to unlock the maintenance cell for the Market Street power grid. If he wasn't the Baron's nephew, they would have fired him months ago. So I guess what that's telling us is that the Market Street power grid is near the pub. Do we have the pub on the map? Yes, we do. we have both of those landmarks, so that's not terribly important, but hey, it's there. If there's something else of value to us that was trying to tell us, then it's lost on me. Let's see if we can take a look at this guy. Yeah, there's like a specter. And I love the audio design. Like they kind of speak in reverse. And there's that power box. I think their speech is actually, some of it is played normally with an effect on it, and some of it is played in reverse. I could be wrong though. It's all unintelligible. But I hear the word what, and then I hear a word that sounds like the word what in reverse. Like I said, it may be a zombie mission, and the game, with the equipment it gives you, kind of encourages the nuclear option of just killing all of them with holy water and fire arrows. But you don't have to do that. You really don't. And it's kind of sad that even on expert the game allows that. Because I think that's given people an impression of this mission that it's just, you know, kill all of the enemies and then get lost for a while and then finally find what you're looking for. And if you're paying attention and if you're playing this game like a thief game, then neither of those things are the case. Although no amount of paying attention would ever make me think, would ever help me find this piece of loot here. And that's a valuable piece of loot, too. My first playthrough of this mission, I had to use a loot guide, and that was the piece of loot that put me over the edge to complete the mission. This door, there's nothing important in here, but I just think it looks cool in here, so why not? I forget, are there traps in here? Well, there's fire arrows and a breath potion, which I will not be using. Which is completely overgrown, kind of has a cool look to it. I really like the look of this mission too. Like it really gives the impression of just a place that's completely weathered by time and also ravaged by a battle. So now I gotta backtrack a little bit. Forgive my routing, this was the best way I could find to do this. Back to the street sign, and then we, as soon as it's safe, we go north. That's north, by the way. This Burrick doesn't pose too much of a threat, but I'd like to attempt stealth if I can help it. Here we are. So this kind of underwater tunnel that does lead to a kind of cool location. And it's an alternate path, but there's no loot in that direction. And there's also a risk of heavy fall damage. So I'll be avoiding it. But you can find all these areas that I skip in your own playthrough of this game. Because that's really what I'm trying to do in making this series more than anything. I mean, I want to test myself and give myself what I feel is an authentic experience with this game. But also, I want people to appreciate this game who might be interested but afraid to take the plunge. Easy to miss loot right there. But again, if you've got the lights on, it's much more easily detectable. So I gotta wait for the slowest zombie in the entire city. There you go. I think he's coming back, yeah. Now this is cool. You folks at home are gonna love this. So there's this drawbridge that I can't access the controls because they're on the other side. But they made a big mistake putting that window right there to the control system. Yeah, this game's pretty cool. So this may seem like an unusual path, but we have to go this way. And I'm sorry to all you Supreme Ghost folks, but this is mandatory, and there's no way to get here other than using lockpicks, which is frowned upon in the ghosting community. But I'm not ghosting, so it's fine. Now this road is, you see just a little hint of it up here. Let me see if I can get that a little better. Road. Yeah, you see just a little bit of it. So people who are really attentive will cross this bridge and think, oh, there's supposed to be something to the west. And then you look up, you see that door, and you make your way to this sort of tucked away mansion, I guess you'd call this. The door's locked, but they left their key under the mat. Before I use this, I have to put my ear to the door. Warning, you may hear some pretty scary sounds on the other side. Speaking of sound design, if they felt like it, they could have made a fully fledged horror game. You'll see why I'm doing all this. Also, if you have the power on in this section, then all of this is lit up and you have to flip this switch to turn off the power in this little section here. So this is really cool. These are the hammer haunts. We've seen one of them before in the Bone Horde, in one little section right when we grabbed the Mystic's Heart, I believe. And I'm gonna try to just remove the problem if I can, because I don't want to deal with these guys. And now they're locked in. Oh gosh, that had my heart racing. Even though I routed this out, I was able to do that consistently. If that noisemaker arrow bounces off one of them, it will come back towards me, and then they will start looking in my direction. And then you can pretty much consider this area a loss at that point. Now we just got an objective. Let's take a look. Oh hey, that's the Serpentile Torque. And you can see this looks a bit like an Ouroboros snake. So it's kind of serpentile. I don't know what a torque is. Maybe it's like a headpiece or something. I'm not going to bother opening that, even though it's kind of an ornate looking chest like that one. It's I think it's just like a healing potion or something, or maybe flash bombs. Thankfully, we are done in here. On one of my practice runs, just to kind of mess with the hammer haunts in there, which, by the way, I didn't mention, these are, I guess, vengeful spirits of Hammerites, and some of their voice lines kind of suggest they kind of quote scripture, but sort of with more of an emphasis on the hell stuff. Anyway, so I was trying to mess with the hammer haunts, and I picked up this vase here, and I threw it at the door just to hear how they would react, and it turns out that throwing physics objects at wooden doors can open them. You can just force open the lock like that. And yeah, that didn't end too well. So I will not be performing that for you, because no quick saves. I'm gonna lock up just to, you know, I want to make sure that no one ever goes in this place again, but I'll still leave the key under the mat for when the owners come home, I guess. And you know what, I'll even leave this behind. Just, they might want that. They might want some holy water. I'm not interested in dealing with that problem. I'm not an exterminator, but if they so choose, they can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna drink a little health potion too. Can never be too careful. I think I alerted a zombie, but when the zombies are alerted, they give up pretty quickly, unless they know exactly where you are, and even then their pursuit is pretty slow. So let's see what all I got here. So I still have these coins that I have to leave on the Watchman's grave. Gotta remember to do that. We're doing pretty good for loot though. The loot requirement is 2,000, so we only gotta get 450 more. Gonna flip the page on my notes here. Or are you gonna find me? Of course you are. I'll chug another one of these. It's fine, probably. Here we are. I don't think they can go this way. And if they can, they definitely can't go this way. Yeah, I should have just booked it, but I don't know. I want to take the stealth option if possible. Don't fail me now, rope. Thank you. Easy to miss. Little urn, would you call this? And then we lockpick this door here. And just so we know what's going on, check our map here. This looks like cheese to me on there, or bread or something. This sign here is indicating that we are here, and the grave is north. But the only way to go north is through this door up here. So again, we are rewarded for examining our surroundings. And there it is. That's the Watchman's grave. Gotta be careful though. Gotta be quiet. There are spiders around here. We don't pose too much of a threat, but you know, again, if we can ghost this part, I would prefer to. So let's bust out the coins. Well, let's read this. Just so there's no confusion whatsoever, no doubt in our minds that this is indeed the Watchman's grave, with no engraving on it, I guess. We will leave our coins in the offering plate. And that's that. So all that is left is finding the cathedral and snatching the eye. Which, how hard could it be? Drop a rope arrow there. I will wait for all our friends. I've got nowhere to be. And if this is boring, you folks can skip forward. So it's a win-win. It's funny, waiting for patrols is a lot more exciting when you're the one playing, because when you're in the driver's seat and there's the risk of being detected, it's a lot more interesting to wait in the shadows for that perfect moment. Although these zombies are pretty predictable. Despite the fact that I had one find me without too much trouble. You know what, I'll just go this way. I'll take the scenic route. And look, I found a fire arrow. If we go this way, we can get where I want to go. Snatch that. Here's another entrance to the Watchman's Grave, but I do not know how to operate this portcullis. There is a key that I have that I don't know what it's for, so I assume that maybe it's for this, but I haven't found a place to put the key on either side. So I'll leave that there for the next visitor to figure out. Doesn't look like it, but that is metal down there, so I'm going to drop a moss arrow. And we may hear a familiar friend around here. I just skipped the section where I have to sneak past him. But there's our fire elemental, which I know for certain was added in the gold expansion of this game, because the original game didn't have dynamic moving light sources like that. That wasn't added until Thief 2, and Thief Gold is what updated the engine to New Dark, which had that capability. Gotta rob this spider. Also, other than the moving light source, of course, the fire elementals are they're such a lazy enemy design. Like, they just took the standard human model and made them completely dark. And pretty much called it a day. Added some fire effects to their head and hands. Now here's a little technique that I like to call the... I actually don't have a name for it, but we can call it the jump and peek. If I put a moss arrow there, I can safely jump and scout out my surroundings without fear of making a racket. Just to save us all a great deal of time. These burks can be real annoying. Hit him with another one too, just to really... Excellent. Oh, man. Well, the spider saw me. So much for ghosting. I wonder if you can flash bomb a spider. You can! Man, I learn new stuff about this game every day. There's no end to the things you can learn. Another one of these specters. And it's funny, I think this is the only place where you need to use water arrows. Oh, that was a hell of a shot. Unless you're killing the zombies, of course. So we got one up there who's kind of scouting, and there's one on the ground here. And they have a pretty devastating attack if they see you. That involves, I think, firing like a skull at you. It's a little odd. This looks like a haunted cathedral. Seems we found it. Let's just go in the front door. I knew it wouldn't be that easy. Warning. Great evil resides in this place, and it is no longer fit for men. The doors are sealed to protect us from that which lies within. Do not remain here. And it seems there are 4 elemental statues. Not sure what those do, but they are interactable. They light up, but I don't think there's anything we can do with them yet. Something that I would challenge you to do, as someone who presumably will have access to quick saves when you play this game, you can get on top of the cathedral. I won't tell you how, but it's possible. And you don't have to, really exploit any glitches or anything. Just with some clever mantling, you can get up there. And what's interesting is, I guess they did model the top of the cathedral, which surprised me, but they didn't apply sound values or sound effects to the top of the roof, so you can walk around completely silently up there. This mission actually has a few different ways to get to the to reach the skybox, so that you can't even jump anymore. I found several places to do that, but again, not something I particularly want to demonstrate when the penalty for death is losing a lot of gameplay and commentary. So it seems like a lot of corpses around here. It seems like maybe the zombies kind of worked their way towards this Hammer Cathedral, and then the Hammers had their sort of last stand here, and then eventually the cathedral got overrun, which is why there are no more Hammers here. Yeah, it is just a bloodbath out here. So let's take a look. There's a little window here. So let's see what's going on inside the cathedral.
Comes a man to rescue me. Poor man. The keepers have sealed the door, and only they know how to open them. Cross you the bridge to the grotto of the keeper's sentinel. Stand you on the pedestal and illuminate the statue with fire. Then can you discover the secret of the talisman.
Okay, so that was a lot, and on my first playthrough, I had to Google what the eye said. By the way, that was the eye speaking to us. It's right there, just out of reach.
Comes a man to rescue me.
Oh, I guess you can trigger the dialogue again.
The keepers have sealed the door.
And strange, it's not directional.
And only they know how.
I guess the eye is contacting me inside my head, which is kind of interesting. But we get to hear the instructions again, which would have been helpful for me on my first playthrough.
On the pedestal and illuminate the statue with fire. Then can you discover the secret of the talisman.
So essentially, the keepers locked the door because evil resides within. So what we have to do is go across the grotto, and we have to enter the keeper hideout with a well-placed... Well, we have to illuminate a statue with fire somehow. With the one way that... with the one item that Garrett has that gives him access to fire. And then if we do that, we will learn the secret of the talismans, whatever that means. But what I was saying is, that little window there, I think Garrett could have made it through that if he applied himself a little bit. Spider's giving me a bit of trouble today, but nothing one of these can't solve. That is so cool that you can flash bomb the spiders. I guess they have a ton of eyes, but it is funny that they didn't have time to give them a proper blinded animation, so they just kind of freeze. So I have to cross the bridge. Cross you the bridge, I believe the eye said. So I'll go ahead and do that. Hope I can flash Burrix. Okay, I gotta act quickly here. So I gotta stand on the pedestal and illuminate the statue with fire. Oh, other side? No, this side. And then we can go here. I forget what's in the chest, but it's not important. It's probably a fire arrow, but I have way too many of those. And now we have to...
Looks like this place was built by my old pals, the Keepers. I wonder what they're hiding in here.
So this is essentially the Shrine of the Silver Monkey. I hope that reference is not lost on you folks. But if we kind of assemble the statue on here, it gets weighed down. And we can weigh down the other one. We can see that these statues once stood on the pedestals. That's our hint. And eventually, both gates will open, and we can work our way through here. And gotta be careful. It's hard to tell, but those are pressure plates, so we gotta walk right down the middle. Well, what's the harm in one? Or two. Yeah, so there are... I'm actually not sure where those come from. Maybe they come from that side? I really don't know where they come from, but I don't have to know. This is another pressure plate, which activates the slowest death trap in this game. I think it's supposed to induce panic, but you can lockpick that door with ample time, or just do that. Maybe you can even just mantle up. It is not hard to avoid getting squished. Go in here. Also, we can see that on the map there's a key, which is the symbol of the Keepers. So if you didn't know that before, now you know. Grab a key, and let's see what these notes have to say. Keeper Andrus, we are relieved to hear that you have successfully contained the destruction. It was for just such a contingency that the elemental wards have been saved these many years, and we support your decision to use them now, as the peril that you have described is grave indeed. We urge you to hide the talismans with great care, as their discovery could lead to another such catastrophe. We worry also that your actions have exposed the truth of our existence to the world, which we must not allow. Yours in knowledge, Keeper Lucas. Keeper Lucas, we have received word of your fears, and we understand and indeed share them. We did not lightly take the decision to involve ourselves in this matter. However, we believe that we were compelled to act. Were the trickster not opposed, he could bring destruction upon the entire city, and upon us as well. We have endeavored to conceal our efforts as best as we can. I can only hope that we have been successful. Yours in knowledge, Keeper Andrus. So, the Keepers, their whole deal is to maintain balance and order between the two rival factions in the city. So we've seen a lot of the Hammerites, and we've sort of seen evidence of the pagans who worship the trickster god, who is sort of a god of chaos, and the builder, who is the Hammerite deity, is an agent of order. So there's that sort of conflict at play. And there was a quote from, I believe it was a Mandalore review on this game, that he says that the Hammers make a great ideological rival for Garrett in particular, because the builders, the Hammers make and Garrett takes. So I think that's kind of interesting. We are sort of a destructive force in our own way, even if we're trying not to disrupt the game space, on a ghosting playthrough or a non-lethal playthrough. We are still... Thieving is still a destructive act in some ways, but the trickster god sounds terrifying, and if the trickster was not kept in check by the keepers, it would just be... Maybe the whole city would be overrun with zombies. Don't know what this does, but it's called a key. It's not shaped like any key I've ever seen. And if we use this other key that we got in there, upon this map are the locations of the elemental talismans, which alone can unlock the wards placed upon the cathedral door. So we saw by the cathedral door there were those 4 statues that each had a symbol signifying, I guess, the 4 Avatar The Last Airbender elements, air, fire, water, earth. So I guess we need to find 4 elemental talismans in order to unlock the cathedral door. Anyway, their locations are recorded here in the event that we may one day find it necessary to re-enter the cathedral. The portal key in the library, I guess that's the stone key that we got, must be used to access the Lost City entrance where the Talisman of Fire is being kept. The water talisman has been hidden in a shrine located in the caverns below the old quarter of the city. The Talisman of Air is being kept by the Hammerites, and the Earth Talisman was left to the Hand Brotherhood. And then we can check out the map so we can see where in the city those talismans are. So we completed all of our objectives, and we took 37 minutes and 49 seconds, not bad. We got 2,420 loot out of 2635. That's pretty good, considering how hard it is to find loot in this mission. Picked 6 locks, no backstabs, no knockouts. Didn't deal any damage. I took 9 damage, so sort of like last mission, I didn't technically need to use a health potion, and I healed 7. Didn't kill anybody, and we have spent 5 hours, 9 minutes, and 42 seconds on this playthrough. That sounds about right. And our total damage dealt is 0, and our total damage received is, I think, 30? Anyway, that went pretty smoothly. I happen to like this mission a lot, as I said, even though it's very sprawling. It still utilizes verticality in cool ways. If you're examining the map and using landmarks, sometimes the only way to bypass the rubble is to look up. And there were plenty of places to use rope arrows. Our path took us below the city into the waterways, and it also took us near the rooftops as well. I think that the missions that a lot of people view as combat-centric can be stealth just fine, and I think they're a great deal of fun if you avoid the temptation to just kill everybody and then jump around with reckless abandon. And Thief 2, you'll find, really doubled down on the mansion-type missions. I mean, it's not only mansions front to back, but it's a similar kind of formula. You break into some sort of guarded facility, and you have to avoid human guards to find whatever it is you're looking for, which is a fun mission type, and I think, that is the core fantasy of Thief. But I think in Thief 2, some of what I think is special about this game is lost. I like the zombie missions, I'll say it. Anyway, I'm going to pop off my soapbox. I'll just sign off before I embarrass myself further. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good one.